And welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Legacy of Leaders here with a preeminent Jacksonville lawyer at the preeminent law firm of Fisher Tousey. Harris, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Thank
so,
you.
Harris, how did we get here?
Oh boy. Well, Dan, as you know, I'm a tax lawyer, and it's kind of an interesting story of how I got there. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
Okay. So, when you're in law school, there are some courses that you enjoy, and some courses you really don't enjoy. And there were a lot of courses I really didn't enjoy. They were boring, or I just didn't care for them. But I did take a tax course, and that was I loved it. And I took another, and I consistently did well in tax courses. And I said, this may be for me. So, as you know, you can go to graduate law school for tax, and I did. And I did well, loved it. And during that graduate program, I took a course in tax procedure. And I loved it, and it was litigating against the IRS. And I said, this is for me. And so I started applying for jobs with the IRS. The sad part about it is that the IRS was on a hiring freeze, but I didn't care. At that time, there were 56 offices of the IRS that had lawyers. And back in those days, we had, just letters was what we did. We didn't send emails back in those days. And so I wrote 56 letters to all of those offices all over the country. And I got back 53. Thank you very much, Mr. Bonnette, but we are on a hiring freeze right now, and we'll hold your resume if we have an opening. But I had 3 offices that said, Mr. Bonnette, we'd like to talk to you. And I talked to the office in Austin, Texas, and we hit it off, and they hired me.
That's awesome.
And I have to tell you, I learned 2 lessons from that. One is if you want something bad enough and you persevere, you're going to get it. And then number 2, when the IRS tells you they have a hiring freeze, don't believe them, because I was hired during one.
Right.
And so anyway, and so I started in Austin, Texas, and then wanted to get back closer to Florida, where I grew up, and I applied for and got transferred to Jacksonville, and I've been here ever since. And I was with the government for 5 years, and I decided to leave government service for private practice, and I've been doing that. And it's about 34 years I've been doing this, so I love it.
So you went to preeminent law school in the University of Miami, and then obviously you went to one of America's top 5 law schools in Washington and St. Louis. And then obviously you got to work with the Internal Revenue Service, which I'm sure is just an incredible amount of experience for you. So today, how would you describe your practice?
That's a great question. So I handle any dispute at all with either the IRS or the Florida Department of Revenue. Any dispute at all. And those can be, if your tax return is being audited, or you owe money to the IRS, or you've got a criminal issue with the IRS. Those kind of issues, that's what I do. And so it's any dispute at all. And it's a lot of fun for me. I love it. I kind of learned the secret handshake, so to speak, when I was with the government. And so yeah, that's what I do.
So I don't know if anyone, I've been in this community almost 30 years, I don't know anyone that does both federal and state tax controversy like yourself. How do people find you, Harris? And then what is a common mistake most people get or have a misperception about the IRS or the state of Florida?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to find me, certainly you can do a Google search for me, Harris Bonnette, or you can search for my law firm, Fisher Tousey, and you can find me that way. And then your other question was maybe some misconceptions about the government. I have to tell you that I think the perception is that IRS folks are difficult and unreasonable. And I have to tell you that I don't agree with that. There are a few bad apples over there for sure.
Just like any organization.
Yeah, but I think if you treat them how you would like to be treated, they will warm up to you, and I find, become much more reasonable than if you put up a brick wall and you're ugly with them, that they're going to be ugly with you, and they're the ones that have a lot of the power. So that's with the IRS, and the same is true for the Florida Department of Revenue folks. I think these people just get beat up by taxpayers who are frustrated, and I think these agents get jaded and difficult to work with. But I think if you're friendly with them and reasonable with them and calm and polite to them, they're going to treat you the same way. And I find you get far better results when you talk to them that way.
Right.
And I know that a lot of people say, no, you got to be ugly with them, but I don't agree with that. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know anyone better than Harris Bonnette to have on your side if you have a federal or a state tax controversy. I would be shaking in my boots, but as long as I had Harris next to me, I'd feel a lot better about it. So it's great to get to talk to you again, Harris. We've been long-term friends. You have a fascinating practice. I understand now from your resume why you're so successful, and 34 years of doing it. So that's incredible. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being another leader in our community, and thank you all for tuning in to another segment of Legacy of Leaders.